that is a crime-ridden area. And it's been meant for him to be inspired to want to leave that and do better. And if he gets this truck and he takes it down there to that job, it'll be ruined. So I told him, I said, you need to get away from that job, come up here, and the money you're making, you need to get yourself a townhouse or condo or whatever, and start living up here and get a job up here. So once he has that, then he can have that truck. So I bought the truck, but I put it in his name. I have not done any payments in a long time, but because he doesn't have any credit, I want him to establish credit. So I did a co-signing because he doesn't have any credit. He's too young. So he's now got a $900 a month bill. That's an end that he now has to meet. So what does he got to do? That $1,000 plan. So in his trades, he has to find a way to always be able to net enough money to cover that car note. It keeps him from doing what? Rolling the dice to do big trades, to do one more 5-point move. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's diabolical. You're an evil father. But my children didn't learn this because they watched me. They weren't even inspired. So I have to put them in situations where they have to. Otherwise, they're going to be left to doing these types of jobs the rest of their life, because I'm not going to just lay money in their lap. I'm not doing that. So he's in a situation now that he has to make that work. And if he doesn't, he messes up my credit, which, let's be honest, I wouldn't let that happen, but it would if the payments didn't be kept up. And he's building his own credit. So he has a vested interest in seeing that it's done right. His insurance only went up, I don't think, maybe $40 a month. I think it was something. It was less than $50. Let's call it that. So he went from not having a car note to now having basically $1,000 a month. That's not counting gas, because I'm sure it'll probably spend a little bit more in fuel. But if he works close to where I live and he works close to his home, which is not determined yet because we don't know what we're going to, decide on. I don't know if a condo is the right thing for him. And I don't know if he's going to choose a townhouse or a single family. But his trading has to meet those needs because daddy's not paying for it. So I'm forcing him out of the nest into the real world. So you had a taste of what it's like to make money. You had a taste of seeing it in your account. But now what do you do with it? You have to be structured about what it is you're doing with it. So it helps him and anybody else that would apply this, because it did it for me as well. I didn't have a car note that was $1,000. I had a bill to myself. My first bill every month was $1,000 has to go into my savings account at Nations Bank. That's where I was doing business. So all of my focus was making money to guarantee that I had that $1,000 a month to pay me first. Then I had a car payment. Then I had insurance. Then I had gym memberships and whatever things I was doing that were extracurricular, which at the beginning my trading wasn't much. Anytime I'd go out to eat with my friends, that kick around money, that pocket change, that would be after I paid my bills. And the first bill I paid myself was the $1,000 a month. So I lived on that principle that I paid myself first, and then everything else, whatever I had left, I lived on that. So I'm forcing my son into that. And I'm telling you as my students to do that same thing. So you might be laughing and thinking, man, I can't, $1,000 ain't gonna do nothing for me. Oh, really? Really? Okay, let's say you have a $2,500 a month mortgage. And that's pretty reasonable considering most houses are around 350,000. That's like the median price right now in the US. with maybe utilities and your mortgage, $2,500 is about there. What happens if you have $1,000 every month that goes towards that? How much of an ease on your stress and nerves would that bring you? I can tell you that would be a very big weight, and you're not getting everything covered, but you're doing the right thing. That's making ends meet. And then doing that month after month, slowly growing it more. So then you're trying to make $1,250 a month, and then $1,500 a month, $1,750, $2,000 a month. What that does, it allows you to grow with a principle-oriented approach that you have to make this work with a sober, low-hanging fruit objective and target. You're not out there just throwing the dice and say, okay, let's see what I can get. What's the best that can happen in this situation? That's a laboratory experiment that's guaranteed to blow up in your face versus I don't need to do very much to make 250 a week, even in Forex, as stagnant as those pairs are right now. You can still eke out $250 a week. It's not a big deal. It's easy. If you're trading micros in the S&P and NASDAQ, the futures market, not the $50 per point for ES, but the $5 per point, or not point, per point. That would still be possible to get that $250. You're going to work, but you can get it. But you want to have a approach that allows you to do the very least and let the compounding over time and the new equity increases, let that do the heavy lifting. That's what I did. That's the real secret to it all. Doing something very small, cookie cutter approach. When I was on baby pips, okay, what did I preach? If you were with me back then, 2010, what was I teaching? Find one good setup, 25 pips a week. Now you can get 5 pips a day. If you're ultra new and you're scared to get into a trade and hold it to the completion, is there something wrong with going into a trade and getting out after 5 pips? No, not if you're new, because you're going to be scared. You're going to be terrified it's going to turn against you, and it might turn against you. But if it moves 5 pips in your favor and you're brand new and you cover and you get out, you gave yourself that cookie. And then you say, okay, I'm aiming for 25 pips, but I got out this entire week, every single day, and I got out with 5 pips of movement. It went to my target, or it came back and stopped me out. Who cares? But 5 pips it gave me, and I got it when it offered it to me. I closed it. I did it every day. So now I got my 25 pips. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Not if you're a brand new trader. Nope, absolutely not. And then the next week you go in and say, okay, I'm going to try to hold on and see if I can get to that 8 pips or 10 pips of the 25 I'm getting. And then when you get it, even though it looks like it's going in your favor to your target, you close it at 10. Just do that. What you're doing is you're giving yourself experience. It's unrealistic for any educator, me included, to sit down and say, okay, here's what you do, here's how you learn how to trade, and then go in there and hold it for your target or stop. And don't ever take any partial or early exits. That is stupid. You're stunting their growth. The best learning I've had was gradually going into making money. I had flash in the pan wins. I ran up accounts real fast and real fast blew them out. So I didn't understand the weight of making money like that because it's very stressful and it's addictive. Like I've never done cocaine. I've never done heroin. I've never done any kind of hard narcotics, and I've never been drunk in my life. But I can tell you, I've been high on the markets, and that is a rush that is absolutely phenomenal. Like it is nuts. You once you feel it, you'll know what it means to know what it feels like to be high on the market because you feel invincible. You feel like you're the cock of the walk. There ain't nobody that's better than you. Nobody can touch you. Don't even talk to me. Don't even speak to me. Like you're beneath me. And that's what happened to me. I became a jerk, a prick. But that's the worst route to take. If I would have stuck with my making ends meet approach, $250 a week, break it down modularly. Let's say your goal isn't $1,000. Say it's the full $2,500 a month for your mortgage. Not that you're depending on making that to pay your mortgage, but what you're trying to do is aim for some end that you have to meet every month. Start with trying to just get half of it, or try to meet your lowest. Maybe it's a cable bill. Maybe it's a credit card bill, and it may not even be $100. But go into your trading with that mindset. And I promise you, it seems silly. It seems like, what? I'm in this to do big money, but you can't do big money unless you're consistently managing little money. Little bit of management on a little bit of money is going to teach you everything you need to know how to do large money over time. Because that little bit of money, if you keep doing it correctly, what does it become? More money. And that more money has a growth curve in terms of, okay, I'm used to trading 1 micro on ES, and it's $5 per point. Now I'm at the point where I can trade 2 micros and then 3 micros. And at some point you start trading 1 mini. So now you have $50 per handle, $12.50 per tick. That feels a little bit different first time you do it. If you're not used to seeing that, it's a little intimidating, and you start thinking, oh, this is too much, it's too much. And I've watched guys on YouTube get in there and trade on a 1 minute chart, and just about every single 1 minute candle, they're trying to do something, and it's moving around. Such a small little fluctuation, but they're like, I gotta get out. Okay, it's going against me. What are they trading? I don't think they know. So you have to know what you're doing. That's why I taught my son to just go after 5 handles. 5 handles, that's it. If he gets it in the morning, he doesn't have to do it in the afternoon. If he doesn't get it in the morning, he goes in looking for it in the afternoon. If he has a losing trade in the afternoon, it doesn't take a trade. He eats it. If he takes a trade in the morning and he gets the 5 handles, he has the choice to go in the afternoon, but I tell him by the model, don't do it. Trade the next trading day and look for that setup again. There's lots of 5 handle moves all day long. There's lots of them. There's a plethora of them. So what is that? That's a low hanging fruit objective. It's real easy to find 5 handles every single trading day. Even in a choppy market, 5 handles can be had. Now, what does 5 handles mean to you? Well, it's going to mean different things to each one of us. To me, it's going to mean a whole lot. To someone like my son, it could mean $1,250. So $1,250, if you just do that one time, just once a week, that's pretty good for not even being 24. Now, I don't want him to stop there. Obviously, as his father and as inner circle trader, ICT, I want my son to be a freak. Like, I want him to be way beyond me. And he has the advantage of youth. And I have all the advantage of the wisdom. And I can tell him how to get there, but he has to do these things to do it. He can't just, well, I'm going to go in there and just go all in. It's not Texas Hold'em. It's trading for a living. And you're trying to do one of two things: build wealth or make ends meet. In the beginning, you can't build wealth. You have to make ends meet. That means you have to consistently do things that make sense to erase the debts that you have to pay out every single month. Those debts, you're going to have them the rest of your life. I'm rich and I still have to pay utility bills. I still have to pay all these little things that add up. Amazon Prime, HBO Max. Like, I got everything. There isn't a channel or a service out there that my wife or kids don't have. And I don't watch TV, but I have to pay for that. It's a bill. Okay. I could sit down and say, you don't need all this stuff, but I don't care. It's a write-off. All these things are a write-off. So I use that to my benefit. That's the justification I give to myself. But my family, they're spoiled. They don't need to have all these things, but they have them because we can afford to have them. You may not afford them right now, but you can be in a position where it won't matter to you either. But you can't jump to that. Like I was trying to jump as a 20-year-old thinking, wow, I can make a lot of money in a very short period of time. And I'm only doing it with one contract. So I jumped to doing 3 and 5 and 10 contracts of bonds in the S&P. And yes, when I was right, man, it was really nice. But when it was going against me, it paralyzed me in fear. It scared the living hell out of me because it's fun and it's exhilarating. And you have that deer in headlights paralysis when it's running off in profit and you don't have a target. You don't know where it's going. I want to go in and see how far it'll go up. And you get stuck looking at the chart and it's just going, 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 going. And you don't know when to get out. And I would overstay my welcome. And then I think, oh, okay, well, it's just retracing down to this level. This old high is going to find some support because it's a floor now because the ceiling's been broken. Now it's going to what? Support wrong, kept going lower, and I'd find some other old high and draw a line across my chart and expect it to be support, and it wouldn't. And I wouldn't get out of the trade because I had what? I had no structure in what it is I was doing. I was like that $1 million sailboat out there with no rudder. Wherever the wind's going to carry me, as long as I'm in the marketplace, that's what was happening to me. And I had fortunes going in and out of my account all the time, but no idea where to pull the plug. Whereas if I just simply would have said, you know what? I want to make $1,000 a month and save that, right? Okay. What happens if I just get that for the day and just stop on 20 contracts? Yeah. $20,000 a day. It's hard to stop though, because if you can see the potential to make 50, you're going to do what? You're going to hold for 50. And as a young man with no idea what the hell he was doing, just rolling the dice, that's what I was doing. And it was worse when I started inviting people to see me doing it. And I would get a high off of being right in front of everybody. And I'd be like, yeah, look at that. See, you know the hell I am. I'm the guy that's going to do this in front of you every single day. Ha ha, look at this. Strength. And then when it was bad, I wanted to crawl under a rock. It was too much. My ego couldn't allow for that because I didn't build in those expectations in performance. So you won't have all those problems if you use low-hanging approaches to make your ends meet. So you start gradually from a very small, low-hanging fruit objective and make it so insignificant in terms of money that it won't be hard for you. And you gradually build that up. This is why I tell everybody, you're not going to get good at trading your first year. You're not going to get good at trading in your first 2 years. It's going to take you 5 to 10 years to get really good at trading. What's my definition of good? You know yourself. You know what's going to keep you from blowing up and you avoid it. You soberly consider the risks that are involved, not just what's the maximum I can make here. See, I guarantee you, if we were doing a poll, like if we were in a live event and I gave out this handout in the beginning, it was a questionnaire, real quick questionnaire, and then you had to drop it off in a box before I got up on the stage and start talking to everybody. It would be, what are you more likely to feel impulsive about? Going after the big money or fear of the losing trade? You're going to be impulsive about making the big money because that's what you've been trained. Me, every other educator out there, every author, every YouTuber, any influencer, we all do the same thing. We all talk a good game about you can make money doing this, but not all of us talk about the perils of losing money. I do that, and a couple other large name people do it too. But from my knowledge, I'd have never seen anybody break it down to a point where it's humble beginnings and you start there. I didn't learn that from somebody else. I had to figure that stuff out. And I abandoned it foolishly and just started going after Lambo lifestyle. I want to have the Lux lifestyle, luxury.